All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to week 4 of the SBL. I am AJ0, joined here by 30, about to hop into this game 1 in a moment between the SS Boosted Friendship and 2K2S. And we are just giving 2K2S a moment to get their roster situation figured out, which is great because that actually gives us a minute to talk about these MVPs. So we'll go down the list here real fast. So, oh Jesus Christ!
All right, I'll take over and talk about
if you
the
two,
week
if
3
you two
MVPs,
maybe
and
want to take over this for a second.
Okay. Yeah. So, I'm 30. Hello. Once again. So, starting off last week, game 1, Wifey Superstar versus Boy Butter. The MVP goes to Salvo. He played Sivir and went 10-2-9. Once again, Sivir, huge priority right now in competitive play. Really skyrocketed in win rate after her buff on her W. But Salvo played it great once again. Wifey Superstar, they brought a great team fighting comp to the table. His Sivir ult, him pressing R, totally on point. He hit W a couple times, and he got 10 kills at the end of the game. So hats off to Salvo for another great game. Game 2, the Think Twice Die Once versus SS Boosted Friendship. The MVP is going over to Thermidor, and he went off last week on Vi, 13, 4, and 10. Vi just got some buffs last patch, and unfortunately he left the game. He had to leave for the night right after our game, so he was invited to be interviewed after the game, but I didn't get the chance to hear his insight on why he's so good at Vi. I don't even know why he's so good at Vi, but he is. So hats off to Thermidor for his first MVP of the season. And then in game 3 here, 2K2S versus Batty Bargain Bin. It looks like we have 2 MVPs, Epic Yandere and Thrifty Senpai. I can only assume because the votes were split, so they both get sort of a co-MVP award. Epic Yandere 6-0-7 on Jungle Quinn, and Thrifty Senpai on a champ that he'll never get for the rest of the season, Zyra, and he went 6-4-9. Both played spectacularly well. Thrifty really went off in that early laning phase and then became basically the sole target of Batty Bargain Bin. And I think he was the only player on his team to die. All 4 of his team's deaths were on him. But let me talk a sec about Epic Yandere and his Jungle Quinn. It was a sight to see, folks. It was very good. Epic Yandere, he always brings these weird jungle picks to the table. I was skeptical of the Jungle Quinn at first, but man, he was really in the right spot at the right time throughout the entire game. Brought a lot of good ganks, good counter ganks, which is something he seems to be really, really good at, and did a lot of work for his team on Quinn. So yeah, those were the week 3 MVPs. Waiting on this game to start still. I don't know what the status of it is.
Yeah, let's see. So they're only missing one person, correct?
Yes, we have typical SBL problems going on right now where team knew they were going to have one person unavailable, and no one has any clue where the other person who was supposed to be here is. And we're currently trying to get an emergency sub situation finalized, so we will hopefully be on into draft in the next 3 to 5 minutes with that.
All right. In the meantime, I'll talk about just kind of the league in general. Maybe like go through the standings here. So basically, it's a four-way tie for first place here. Batty Bargain Bin, 2 Kawaii to live, 2 Squid to die. Waifu Superstar and Think Twice and Die Ones are all at 2 wins and 1 loss going into week 4 here. SS Boosted Friendship follows up in the second place with 1 win and 2 losses, and at the bottom of the table is Boy Butter, which is, I guess, maybe surprising for a lot of seasoned SBL watchers. Master Splinter heads that squad, and it might be his worst start this season yet, at least in my memory. But they had a very good game last week against Waifu Superstar, but they just were not able to close it out. I don't think they're going to go the whole season without a win here. I think they're a very good team, and they seem to be improving every week. So expect a good game for game 2 tonight, which is Boy Butter versus Batty Bargain Bin. But to go back to game one here, which will start anytime now, we got on the blue side SS Boosted Friendship, and then on the purple side we got 2 Kawaii to Live and 2 Sugoi to Die. 2-1 team versus a 1-2 team. SS Boosted Friendship last week, they unfortunately had to bring 2 subs to the table, one of those being an emergency sub. And apparently Respect had a lot of leg issues, so it wasn't maybe the most winnable week for them last week, but they seem to come back strong here in week 4. They have their full lineup here in the lobby. They've been doing well. I think they also had they didn't have Thor week 1 as well. So this is only the second week with their full lineup, which I think on paper is a really strong lineup. When this was drafted, maybe do we have the
This
what?
was the consensus favorite to be in first. Not by
Right.
a mile, but they were. And I think it's really big that both of their losses have come with one game without Thor, and then last week they actually had to play Cheeseburger, their sub, and an emergency sub in addition.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and they looked very, very good in their win. It was a very clean win over Waifu Superstar in week 2. So, I mean, this looks like a really intense 5-team race currently.
Yeah, exactly. So they have a lot of high expectations. Like I said, the team overall on paper is really good. They seem to, and there's a reason why this team is called SS Boosted Friendship. A lot of these players are good friends, either in real life or just good league friends, as per usual. And a pretty good spread of skill as well. They have 2 platinums, 2 golds, and a silver. But I think they have it where it counts. Respect and Evelite actually, they've both hit platinum this season, and that is their bot lane, which might, I guess we'll have to see as the season goes on. But like Swift said, this is only the second week with their full lineup. Second week, third week with the Evelite Respect bottom lane, but they've always done well, and I think they can only go up from here. Talk about the other team though. Two Kawaii to Live, 2 Sugoi to Die. Kind of a rough start. They didn't have Scotch week 1, but have bounced back with 2 wins. Currently in the lobby, they got Scotch, Thrifty, Zaku, and Epic Yandere. We're still working out a sub situation here. But all we know for sure is Scotch and Thrifty will be playing. So the 2 captains, the 2 veterans of the team, are definitely here. And when they've been together in the game, they have really shown the results. Their map movements, their macro strategy in general has been really on point with those 2 leaders in the top and mid lane. And it looks like we finally got the 5th in here. Frisky Onachan, previously named Keizo Kami, right? Yeah. Yeah, we'll say yeah. It'll be Zaku and Frisky Onachan in that bottom lane, which I believe is the bottom lane they had last week as well. But to go over this lineup, the spread of talent, at least as far as solo queue rating goes, is a little bit different. You obviously have Thrifty Senpai, one of the soul diamonds in the league in the mid lane, and then you have Epic Yandere, platinum player, and this season has really, I think, exceeded everyone's expectations of his skill level. He is a rookie coming into the season, so we didn't really have a good gauge of what he was able to do. But he has really gone off this season with, some weird jungle picks, and I think that even just sort of adds to his style and to show really how good he is as a player. He doesn't resort to strong meta picks. He hasn't really played like strong team fighting junglers, like sort of the easier skill cap junglers. He's played very weird champions that you have to know how to navigate through the early game. But yeah, it looks like
we are in. So
yeah.
I appreciate everyone sticking with us here. Just a heads up here. 2K2S is only going to have 2 of the 3 bans available due to this being a recurring issue. So they're going to be timing out that 3rd ban. Just a heads up on what to expect. I'd also like to take a moment to just shout out to our awesome draft overlay. That picture. The baddie's awakened, folks. So, we're in, finally. on SBL time, which is 10 minutes late. But at least we're consistent.
Yeah.
So going in here, nothing too surprising with these first few bans. Evelyn and Malphite being taken away from 2K2S, pretty common bans. Callista so far taking away Avalite.
Yep. Yeah, and I think he had a very good game in Callista this season. I can't recall which week it was, but and then the Thresh ban on top of that. Yeah.
Pick.
Yeah.
So gonna try to get their bot lane some advantages because this is a bot lane that I think a lot of people expected to be the weakest link on 2K2S. But they played very good last week. And Frisky Oni-chan's, formerly RNG Kazukami, his first week of playing AD carry for the team. And it really looked like they sparked some life into that bot lane. And 2K2S looked really phenomenal last week. So I'm really excited to see if they can keep that going this week.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess it is kind of a big game for both of these. So like you said, 2K2S, so they hope to continue this up streak. But I think it might be even bigger for the blue side, SS Boosted Friendship, because now they finally got the full lineup back. And I think if they win this game, it'll be a huge boost. And then, just basically tie it up as a race for first continues.
I agree. And this is going into this week. I think this is the game of the week, even though we have 2-2-1 teams facing off later, because these teams have had so much gray area in their losses that I think this game could end up saying quite a bit about where these teams are at.
Yep.
So first few picks coming out, Dubtron picking up Gragas, which is just a really strong pick on this current patch, and also something he's been practicing a lot that was picked away from him last week, I believe, or maybe bans. But something he has a ton of in his match history, and just a very good first pick. You can play that into basically every situation other than having a Jarvan on your team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of D-synergy between those two champions. But yeah, I totally agree. It's just a great first pick overall, great jungle. And the answer to that was, in the first rotation, was a Quinn and Alistar pick. Alistar, I feel like every week, Gragas or Alistar are either like first pick. They're definitely first pick, like first rotation. And Alistar basically is the Gragas of the bottom lane. He's that sort of catch-all, just play Alistar with any AD carry into any other AD carry, and you'll probably have a pretty good laning phase and an even greater mid game.
Don't you miss the good old days when in the SBL the contested picks were Caitlyn and mid lane Morgana, not meta champs? Because there's a part of me that does.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, Alistar, we also see Quinn coming out, presumably going to be for Epic Yandere in the jungle for the second week in a row.
Yeah.
And you said everything that needed to be said when you were going over the MVPs. He was a beast on that last week. And Epic has been in the right place at the right time so often so far this season. It's really been a pleasure to watch him play the jungle.
Yeah, it's really, it's always more fun when you bring out interesting junglers and not Gragas or say Drawny or just like these tanky junglers like, oh, I'm gonna farm the jungle and then there's gonna be a team fight. Let's talk about Jhin. Is this the first time he's picked this season?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And now I'm not as privy to bot lane matchups as I am in seasons where I'm playing bot lane, but Jhin Braum to me seems like something that on paper should be really strong because Jin's going to have ways to set up a snare that should be always followed up by a stun. If you get caught out versus that lane, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah, I think in competitive it's one of the stronger support picks you can go with Jhin. I think the strongest one is Morgana because it's super easy to proc the Jhin passive. It also offers Jhin a lot of protection in the late game with Black Shield. But once again, that happens with Braum as well. Braum is one of the best peelers in the game. Jhin, one of the most immobile AD carries at the time. So really, it's kind of a match made in heaven. It's a good laning phase, but maybe even a stronger team fight when it comes to those two champions. To answer that though, going over back to 2K2S, they picked up the Mundo, which is crazy to think about because since Season 6 started, he's pretty much been in ban prison in all of your solo queue games. But I think this is the first time we're going to see him in SBL.
Well, he was
this
nerfed
season.
A few patches ago. It was primarily as a jungle pick that Mundo was being used.
Mm-hmm.
And Mundo's one of those champions where when he's good at a competitive level, he's just cancerous to deal with at lower levels, especially in the jungle. And fortunately, Riot took pity on us and nerfed Mundo into the grounds.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't stop Scotchnaut because he's a cancer tank player.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Quinn is a great flex pick. Do you think Scott's going to play Quinn and Yandere is going to play Jungle Mundo?
I don't think so. I don't think that Scotch has played much Quinn. I mean, I could be in for a surprise here. I haven't watched his match history that closely, but I don't think he's been particularly practicing Quinn. And I also don't think that the Mundo is that good in the jungle right now.
I would agree. And yep, there's the switch.
And we're gonna actually fall rotation behind here because I want to hop straight to Thrifty Senpai gets Zyra for the second week in a row.
Oh.
Let me tell you guys something about my draft strategy. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys into the mind of AJ as 0 here. When I see a team gets 2 MVPs, I don't let that team get both of those picks the next week.
Oh yeah, God, you're so right. That is. Oh no. Huh. Interesting. I could see maybe allowing Quinn through if you think you have like a good strategy on how to keep the jungle Quinn down, but the Thrifty on the Zyra.
Actually, I just realized something else. That's going to be Thor Odinson playing mid lane Nautilus, a throwback to Season 5 Blaboor.
Wow. All right. This is already. I know you said this is probably the game of the week just for the storylines. No, this is game of the week for the champion picks, dude. You have
there's some
Jhin,
shit in here,
mid
man.
lane Nautilus. You have Thrifty and Yandere on like probably their 2 best champions we've seen so far. Wow.
So going back over to Boosted Friendship here, On the Wind picking up his Fiora for the second time this season. This has traditionally been a very big On the Wind champ. He had a very good game on Fiora in week 2 versus Waifu Superstar. And I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on him this game because I think he's going to be mostly responsible for making sure that Thrifty Senpai doesn't take over in team fights. He's going to need to have a good eye for what Thrifty's doing and know when he can effectively dive that backline. Because if Thrifty's not under pressure, you're going to lose team fights. Just simple as that.
Yeah, I agree. But even think about this. SS Boosted Friendship, they might not even want a team fight. They have a good 1-4 split push comp here, and you have Gragas and Braum, which are 2 of the best champions to stick with your AD carry when you have your top laner split pushing. I mean, looking at 2K2S's lineup, their team fight is just like it's easy mode, man. They got beefy front line with Alistar and Mundo, and then you have a great AoE ultimates for Sivir and Zyra, and you just got Quinn on top. I assume the Quinn is just
The biggest thing for me out of 2K2S is that they have if a split push scenario does develop, because I do agree that's most likely what this game is going to turn into. 2K2S has a very good comp for tower diving 5 versus 4, and they also have one of the 2 shot callers that is best at saying, hey guys, fuck this, let's dive them under their towers. We have Alistar, we have Dr. Mundo. Those are probably the 2 best champions in the game at their positions for tower diving the enemy team. And there's not going to be that much damage under a tower if Fiora's not there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's kind of weird, and that's I think one of the beautiful things about League of Legends in the macro game is that you have these 2 ideologies, these 2 strategies that are completely different. They have 2 completely different win conditions, but if you do either of them right, they can almost counter each other as well. I mean, split pushing does counter team fighting because the team fighting team doesn't get the team fight, but the team fighting team can choose when to team fight on a moment's notice, therefore countering split pushing. So it's going to be a fine balance. It might have to just rely on which early game is better for which team.
Yeah, I think early game is going to be a huge part of this game. And the thing that scares me the most about this early game is that Thrifty Senpai is going to be getting free farm in the mid lane, barring a massive gank out of Dub Drum.
Yeah. Do you think? I mean, mid lane Nautilus, they had the last pick overall. Or no, they didn't.
No, they didn't. Thrifty had the counter pick, and he probably was able to guess that he was going against the Nautilus.
Yeah.
And this is going to be the same situation as last week when he was up against Blaboor playing mid lane Scion, where Thrifty knows he's going to get free farm, he's content, and he actually did a good job of bullying Blaboor out of that lane. And I know Thrifty Senpai well enough to say he is not scared of Thor trying to pressure him on a champ that doesn't put out pressure until level 6 and has an ultimate.
Yeah. Yep. I can only hope that this mid lane Nautilus there is a greater plan at work. This is an essential pick into their strategy or team composition that I'm just not seeing on the surface here, because I feel like really any other mid lane pick probably was better. But I don't know. I'll be surprised. You know, I was questionable on Jungle Quinn last week, but you know, he turned out to be it's probably one of the best jungle performances this season. Yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see here. I'm gonna check some runes and masteries. That stuff's always pretty interesting to me. Going into this, who do you think's gonna win?
If I had to go on a hunch, I think it's going to be 2K2S. And I do think this game is going to actually look fairly decisive, whichever direction it goes. I wouldn't be surprised if this is kind of close at 20 to 25 minutes and then just takes off.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I can definitely.
Yes. And there's ways both teams can win, but I think more has to go right for the split pushing team to capitalize.
Yeah, and look at this sneaky little invade out of SS boosted friendship. They were totally unseen until
No,
that
they
moment.
walked over a ward.
Yeah.
So Scotchnaut does a good job of going in. And SS boosted friendship with the anti-synergy. You know, being friends didn't get you far enough to only drop one ward in that blue bush. I'm not sure being friends was worth it. And they really walk over every ward they could, actually, so...
yeah.
Technically a one ward advantage for 2K2S and also a knowledge advantage, but I don't expect much to come of that.
Yeah, I don't either. It's this is interesting though. I don't know what Epic actually. Well, yeah, Epic Yandere last week, because of that Krugs bug, he started bottom lane with Krugs, but now he is starting top lane at Krugs as well.
And On the Wind started the blue buff and then changed his mind. I'm not really sure what he was going for there. He takes 100 damage for free. It's not that major, but I really just don't know what he was hoping to accomplish there.
Yeah, I think there might be some very niche strategy where you take the small golems at blue buff, and you get the level 2 like half a second earlier. But did he do that?
Let me look it over real fast. If I can figure out how to turn off the fog of war here. Yeah, he took one of the little buffs.
Yep, and there you go. He had level 2 first, and he goes in on Scotch, and he had a pretty good trade there. Direct camera thought mid lane was more important here, and yeah, Thor's just getting beat up here.
So to give you an idea of how that top lane's going to go, Fiora obviously scales very well, but she also has lane matchups where she can just completely shut down the enemy laner. And I think this will most likely be a lane that On the Wind can put out a lot of pressure 1 versus 1.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he was going for. We'll see if he can capitalize that on a much of a lead.
Yeah, and Mundo is pretty weak early on, and that's really one of the only times you can try to take him out of the game. It's just you just punish him, you zone him off the wave, he's melee, and he just doesn't get to scale into that hyper tank as early as he wanted to.
Fortunately for the SS boosted friendship, Fiora doesn't really care about hyper tanks.
Yeah, and Epic Yandere, he pays
jungles.
a visit to the bottom lane, and gets smacked with the Winter's Bite.
I'm just kidding. They don't care about jungles. But oh
yeah, Thor lands the big hook onto Thrifty. Thrifty's down to half health though. Jump tries to flash body slam. The prediction there, it didn't connect, did it?
No, it didn't. I'm actually really surprised.
Yeah,
that was so incredibly close.
Yeah, it looked like it was spot on, but man, just pixels mean everything in League of Legends, and if that would have hit, that would have been first blood.
I'm just saying, I think an actual Platinum player would have been able to pull that off.
I agree. That's just that's just easy everyday playmaking in Platinum.
Yeah.
As far as laning goes, all these lanes are actually surprisingly very close in CS. I mean, Thrifty, he's out of lane right now, and he's coming back because he got pushed out with that good gank there. His flash is down now.
That's a very big flash that's down. I want to see Dubdrum come back to that lane as soon as Thor Odin's Son hits level 6, because that'll be a ton of kill pressure with the depth charge on a no flash Zyra, and they need Thrifty to be out behind.
Yeah, that's almost a free kill with Nautilus depth charge. Yeah, I'm gonna, Thrifty being the player he is, he'll probably try to play as safe as possible. Zaku headbutting Evelite away, but he gets stunned up, and he's stunned by the bomb passive on top of it, and Dubdrum's there for the gank. First blood going over to Evelite on Jhin.
Yeah, that was just kind of some bad decision-making even in the 2v2 vacuum out of Zaku-sama, and the fact that he was doing that with no knowledge of where Dubdrum could be. Easy first blood, and a really good early game out of Dubdrum, who I was kind of hinting at earlier is going to need to have a lot of impact on this early game for his team to be successful.
Mm-hmm. And he's already exerted a lot more pressure than Yandere has. I assume that's just due to the nature of how Gragas ganks in the early game. And Yandere, I think he's just farming as hard as he can to try to scale up on this Quinn. He did get the Skirmish Saber and a Longsword on his first back here, and I forget if he went Warrior or Devourer last week. I assume it was Warrior?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it seems like the stronger enchantment for Quinn. She wants to go in and do a bunch of burst damage to the backline, or to whatever squish she gets in the way. Epic Yandere is making a roam down into the enemy jungle here. Not spotted at all. He's looking for some buffs maybe to counter jungle, or maybe he's actually looking for Dubdrum for a duel. But max range hook lands onto Thrifty Senpai, and this is bad. He doesn't have the flash. He's getting snared up by the Nautilus passive. He tries to run down, but meanwhile, there's a fight going on in the top lane. Grand Challenge has been used, but Scotch was able to regen health, and I guess to go back to mid lane, which I didn't see, is Yandere was there for a counter gank, and Thrifty is safe.
Yeah, having those boots might have just saved Thrifty Senpai's life there.
Oh yeah,
like how far he had to run to make it to Epic Yandere.
Yeah, that's a interesting buy, but like you said, probably a very good one.
Pretty crazy to think this, but Dubdrum's probably had a better 6 minutes than Master Splinter's had a season so far.
Oof, possibly. Frisky used the spell shield, doesn't block anything. Zaku trying to help peel away here, and the wave is really far away for them right now, and I don't know if they can really safely CS there with Dubdrum waiting in the wings. So far, 7 minutes of the game, only first bloods on the board. 4 SS boosted friendship. Oh, man, yeah, the poke out of this Jhin Braum lane is really oppressive, and this is kind of what I thought was going to happen if Zaku and Frisky didn't manage the wave nicely.
The one thing to note, Frisky Oni-chan and Zaku really messed up in the spot lane because they did not recall when Evelyn and Respect went back, but there's a gank coming in, and actually, on the way, starts his teleport and then immediately cancels it, but that might have been enough to at least deter the fight out of 2K2S.
Yeah, it looks like it did. I have a feeling Epic Yandere was going to go full bore into that one. But now it's TP advantage for Scotch in the top lane. Thor flashes, launches the ult, the depth chart hooked in by the combo, and easy gank in mid lane. There's nothing he could have done. Flash is still not up for Thrifty Senpai, but meanwhile, a fight in the bottom lane. Respect has to flash out. Teleport comes out to Thor from mid lane, and he tries to take on Frisky Onichan.
Mundo's on the backside, though.
Oh yeah, Scotch teleports in from the top lane with that teleport advantage. He's dealing the damage, but he's getting beat up by himself. Almost goes down. Respect gets healed by Evelite, and no further death, but Frisky Onichan goes down to the Jhin Death Blossom, and the channels the ultimate. It seems he's doing the damage. Double kill for Evelite. Curtain call coming in big, and Evelite is huge. 3-0 on Jhin.
So what happened in that fight was the point I wanted to get to earlier. Frisky Onichan, who is not an AD carry main, and Zaku did not recall when Evelite and Respect did, and they got into a situation where Evelite was back in the lane with the BF sword, and he also had the wave in a much better position where whenever Frisky wanted to go back and spend, he was going to either lose his tower or take a ton of damage to it. So he was just awkwardly sitting around a place where he was going to eventually lose EXP and maybe his tower, but he was also going to lose out on being able to trade because he was only sitting on his Doran's Blade. And we see it in that fight. 180 carry with the BF sword, 180 carry having spend. And it was just a massive win for Evelite.
Yeah,
And
really,
that's just a really routine mistake you see out of players that don't play a lot of AD carry, where you almost always have to be willing to match recalls.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It's the little things that can be so volatile in the 2v2 down bottom. And obviously there's a lot of help from everyone's team in that fight. Multiple teleports being used, but 3 men in the mid lane, Thrifty able to safely get back to his mid tower. But I mean the Jhin mechanics are already really showing on Evelite. He must be pretty well practiced on this champ. Knowing to lay down those traps and then a very good curtain call to secure that last kill. So a 4-0 lead for SS Boosted Friendship, and they might be running away with this game right now. Almost a 2k gold lead here. Yeah, in this bottom lane for 2k2s, they are just completely bullied out.
Yeah, this is not going to go pretty. Jin's strong in laning phase, guys.
Yeah. He's very, very good. Probably his strongest point of the game.
Absolutely. The biggest thing right here for 2K2S is they need to stall this game out, slow this game down. A 2K gold deficit at 15 or 20 minutes is a hell of a lot less than it is at 10. And fortunately, they do have a lot of good tools for slowing this down. Obviously, Sivir has a lot of wave clear. Zyra has a lot of wave clear.
Yeah, exactly. They have to get these, at least Scotch, you need to get him much bigger so he can actually start tanking in these team fights. There hasn't been a dragon fight yet, but he's working on the components of Sunfire Cape. Basically 2, maybe probably 3 items on Mundo, and then he becomes really unkillable in a team fight scenario. Zyra, I mean, Thrifty he's doing the best he can. He's out CSing by a little bit, but noting all the pressure that he's had on him, I think he's doing as good as he can.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's in a good situation for how much pressure has been on him. I was actually really impressed with him in that last fight. Probably every other mid player in the SBL would have panic flashed there, and he actually held his flash, which is huge because we saw how far he can get without it.
Yeah, Scotch doing tons of damage to Wind here. Fiora's doesn't have the cooldowns right now, but tries to riposte to slow down Mundo, and Wind getting bullied out of this lane. Still has flash available.
Yeah, Wind was sitting on 1,500 gold there, and he really didn't want to fight, or he would have just turned and popped that grand challenge right away.
Yeah, Epic on Derry. He was in the pink ward. He sees Dubdrum go into the mid lane, gets body slam back, but he's only down to half health. Hook comes in from Thor Odinson, and a counter gank gone awry. Another kill going into Thor Odison's book.
Yeah, this is starting to not look good for 2K2S, who, you know, as we saw in week 1 when they played Waifu Superstar, sometimes just don't have the greatest early games.
No, they do not. This game might have to be put on the backs of Thrifty, or maybe even Scotch here. Yeah, like you said, they just really have to try to stall this game out the best they can. It was maybe a good idea from Yandere, but wasn't really expecting that body slam into Hook, I don't think.
Yeah, just super impressed with Dubdrum in this game.
Yeah, no, he's doing great. 0-0-3 on the Gragas here. He almost has Runic Echoes completed on his Tracker's Knife. Yeah, he's been basically just pretty much all over the map. He hasn't really been top lane, but he's been mid and bottom lane, and he has snowballed those lanes into very big leads.
And Thor Odinson actually rushed a Banner of Commands.
Yeah, that's a great item actually on Nautilus. If you even just ignore the active, which I assume, you know, obviously it helps keeps his lane pushed, maybe allows him to roam on Nautilus, gives, you know, a little more breathing room for the melee champion that he is. But look at all the stats on it: AP, health. He's gonna be team fighting, so he gets a nice aura. So all the stats that Nautilus wants here. Epic Yandere, he's in that top lane for the gank on the Wind. Past the flash, the Grand Challenge comes out, Scott's tanking the tower, and no problem for the Mundo with Sadism pop, dub jump, body slams, flashes in, Zaku's stunned under tower, tries to headbutt Respect away, and he gets out with his light, but here comes the curtain call. It's going through, they're being popped, I can't see where they're going, but he's still alive.
I think that's directed camera's way of telling us they're not getting kills, but I wouldn't be entirely surprised if directed camera just did not work with that move.
Yeah, I think. Hopefully
But-
Riot realized that.
All things considered, a turret trade goes on here. That's probably okay for 2K2S. They just have to make sure this doesn't turn into multiple trades.
Yeah.
Because once multiple trades occur, it's going to be really hard to safely keep farming. But ultimately, that does let them stall out a bit.
So yeah, they trade the towers. 2K2S, they picked up Rift Herald off of that one. Let's see. Yep, and obviously Boosted Friendship. They're gonna trade the Dragon as well. So neutral monsters are also traded.
And 2K2S did give that Rift Herald over to Quinn. So Epic Ende are going to have a chance to farm this jungle a little bit faster, keep trying to get ahead here.
Yeah.
And actually, SS Boosted Friendship took the mid lane turret when I wasn't paying attention.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Um,
Thor
that-
with the
that's a-
advantage of command.
That's a big take for Thor, because
Yeah.
Nautilus can put out so much pressure when he's roaming with that hook and with the depth charge.
Yeah, and in not only that, it opens up the jungle, the enemy jungle, open to Boosted Friendship, so they can go in there, de-ward it up, and get some really big picks with some good champions that are really good at picking Gragas, Nautilus, and Braum. And then Evolite, Jhin just on top of that with Curtain Call. Oh, and this might get really nasty soon.
Yeah, because there's the strongest member on 2K2S is Scotchnot, who wants to sit there and be farming. And just because of the type of player Scotchnot is, I'm really worried for him that he's going to try to roam a lot to try to help his team out and not turn into that big tank. And I'm also worried for Thrifty
Yeah.
Senpai here, man.
Thrifty has to flash, but the depth trap is already activated. Epic Yandere, though, he is here in the mid lane. Ignite goes down a dub trap.
Oh.
First kill going over to Thrifty Senpai, and this is a huge turnaround for 2K2S. Thor is just getting kited by the two ranged champions, and 2 kills going over to 2KS for 0.
Man, there is nothing as beautiful in this current meta as watching Thunderlord's Decree get the kill, but Thrifty Senpai paying good attention to his stacks, knows he's going to easily secure a kill with an auto there, and then an easy 2-on-1 turn with a ton of damage coming out of Thrifty and Epic, and they needed that.
Yeah, that's huge, and now it's only a 1K gold lead.
And that's only the tower difference.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I'm thinking that Zhao Wei Zhao might have hopped off the keyboard there, said, hey, Cody, my man, I think this game's in the bag, you can hop back on, and what happens? He immediately loses a fight. Brutal stuff.
Yeah. Evolite and Respect here. They're camping on this pink ward. Pink ward gets laid down by Epic really quickly and flies away. Oh, that was cute.
That's really awkward when you bait a bush like that, and then you just miss the cue.
Yeah. Dude, you can't...
Oh,
honestly,
this is
Quinn
not good for Frisky.
in the Valor
He
form,
is
but...
fucked. He's not fucked. He's fucked.
No,
I don't
not
know if
fucked.
he's fucked.
Teleport
I
comes
don't
in.
know why he can't.
Scott! Scott's completed his teleport. The fight ensues there. His team is there to back him up, though. Bramo
Ricky's
comes out to
rolling
try
on
to
this.
disengage the fight. Respect is in a bad place. Red buff is ticking. Let's see if he can get away here, and I think he does. Epic Yandere, he is in bird form. He is going in. There's 5-on-5 in the bottom lane at 18 minutes.
So 30, we're both shot callers here.
Yeah.
Do we agree that's a situation where us two personally are going, fight, back out, fight, no, back out, no, fight, no, back out. Because I was spectating and I don't even know what I would have called there.
Yeah, that was really confusing. I think that honestly there wouldn't have been a fight if Scotch just canceled his teleport. But honestly, Scotch is a pretty good player. Maybe that was communicated like, hey, I'm gonna teleport. Everyone's gonna go in on me. Back me up, squad. And I think that's what happened there.
Yeah, it came really close to working. So just to reassess after that fight, since really nothing happens, I think it's going to be a slight win for the SS Boosted Friendship because they have 2 teleports, so matching a teleport is not as big of a deal for them. And more importantly, they still have Fiora's teleport up with On the Winds, which is definitely the most valuable teleport on the map.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And On the Wind, 0-1 and 0 on the Fiora so far. He's even a little down in CS, but it's Fiora. And as
Our
usual.
hashtag pause of the game, folks, brought to you by water. You know why, guys? It's good for you. And even better, it's free unless you pay for it.
Yeah, and pause reason seems to be lag. 50 is getting that lag.
Well, that's only fair. Zhao is probably playing on 200 ping from China right now, so
Yeah.
they should have to match that on their best player. I think we put that in. I actually hacked in a Thrifty's router to make this game balanced.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that would.
So let's
Only
assess
be
where this
fair.
game is at here, because we hope it won't be paused for too long. So how the hell did 2K2S cut this down to a 600 gold deficit? They have done such a good job of stalling this through action, which is not an easy way to stall. Typically when you stall, it's wave clearing under your tower, it's shoving lanes and then rotating. You know, you have 3 and 4 men mid a lot, and you're always catching waves as they bounce to your side of the map. But they've actually managed to out-rotate and be in good enough fights that they don't lose.
Yeah, no, that.
And they're down a tower, but not even down a full tower's gold.
Yeah, and I agree. It is some action. There was a good gank in the top lane from Yandere to get the kill on Fiora, but really, I think it might have been just a misplay out of Dubdrum and Thor. They were just going really too far in. They didn't have any information where Epic was, and that's where we saw that great turnaround, that 2-for-0, which I think was a huge motivating factor, if anything. I mean, obviously it gave them gold, but that's the type of play that happens when you're behind in a game and you instantly say, "Yeah, let's go, let's go."
And that was, you know, a really classic play. Back in Season 1, we knew nothing about this game, but what we knew, don't focus the tanks. And Scotchnaut ate so much at the start of that fight.
Yeah. Oh, Dubdrum body flashes in. Curtain call is popped here. Evelite just having free reign on this curtain call here. See a lot of gold procced on his champion, so I assume he cleared the minion wave as well. If anything, really, is curtain call just the best farming ability in the game?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of ults that you can farm with.
Yeah.
I'm really actually kind of disappointed I'm not playing ADC currently, because Jhin seems like the kind of champion that the enemy team is really upset to be playing against, and those are some of my favorite champs to play.
Yeah, that's true. I have experienced that in solo queue. It's just really upsetting sometimes to play against a really good Jhin, and Evelite is that. He's got 40 CS up on Friskiona chain here, 3-0. He's got the IE and static shiv already at 20 minutes. The Jin's gonna hurt, man. Like, his burst is really incredible.
So, do you think anyone told Scotchnaut that those creeps from the ZZ Rot portal, which he just completed, lose health the further they get from the portal?
Did he just place it?
Yeah, he placed it. You can see it up in the bush near Tier 2 bot tower, and by the time those creeps get to the opposing tower, they have 1 hit worth of health.
Yeah. I think he laid that down preemptively, because what you can do with it is it just acts like a stopper on the lane, so there's no way that lane could push past that point.
That could be what he's going for.
Yeah.
That would work, I guess.
that would have been the smart thing.
So we've got Banner of Command on one team and Zerat on the other.
Oh, Road lays down the
damage.
Respect, follows in by a Boomerang Blade, and he is chunked out of the fight already, even with Braum Shield up, and they're still looking for the fight. Scotch is on the helm here. Thor is waiting in the wings, though, in that mid lane brush. Thor is just gotta, he's just trying to bait 2K2S to come out from Dragon and go into the mid lane.
They should force this. They have a Simmer, and they know it's a 5v4.
Yeah, Yandere opts to go back to mid lane to try to clear out that bannered minion. Dragon is started now. They're trying to clear the pink ward in the pit as well, and they're taking damage from Dragon. Frisky used his spell shield to block some Dragon damage here, and 5 strong for 2K2S,
Could be a 5v5.
5v5.
No, Fiora backs out.
Pending.
So overall, little extended there. I don't think optimally played by either team after the initial chunk out, but it turns into a win for 2K2S.
Yeah.
Who I, once again, did not think would be getting Dragons this early, but they matched the Dragons 1-1.
Yeah. Man, dude, you're not... Sorry, Respect, man. You're good at hitting skill shots, but you're not going to hit Quinn when she's flying around like that. It's so difficult. But Yeah, Banner the Command is actually, or no, sorry, ZZ Rot Portal for Scotch. He moved it up here closer to the tower in this bottom lane, and
Yeah, it looks
Dubjum's
like
the
he
only one
wants to
here
split
trying to
push.
answer it.
I think this is a good situation for 2K2S right now. Mundo's going to offer a lot less to a team fight currently than a Gragas would, so if he can keep Dubdrum peeled down here, his team should feel really safe in that mid lane in a 4v4 scenario.
Yeah, and even Boosted Friendship, they don't have like one of their main initiators. I mean, yeah, with the squad right now, and a main disengager, if that. And
hey,
they're going against the Sivir.
While they're split pushing here, could I ask a favor?
Yeah.
For you, for everyone on the stream, I can't because we're going to have a team fight breaking out here.
Yeah.
Both junglers have shown up. Both
Yeah,
top
on the
laners.
wind, he roams up through the river. Gragas
Good
ult to
disengage
disengage the
ult.
fight. Grand Challenge is still going on the wind. He thinks he still has a fight here, and he does. See if he can get that last vital, and he does not. It times out.
All right. Can we have a moment of silence for the ZZ Rot portal? Because it's getting killed tonight.
Oh, with the patch
Let me
tonight?
just say some final words here, guys. This item wasn't fun. It made games worse to have in it. I hope whoever at Riot added this item to the game is no longer working on items.
Oh yeah,
GG,
Thor
here's a
flashes
fight.
in, hooks in onto Zaku. Alistar pops
That
the ultimate to
Zyra
try
ult.
to tank all the damage here. Respect is turned around here. Red buff's ticking. Heal comes out from Evelite to save his life,
Oh.
but it's not going to be enough actually. Thrifty Senpai getting in the kill in the
on the
late
win.
stages of the fight. Double kill for him on the win. Tries to go in the back line. Picks up Epic Yandere on the repeat, and Scotch teleports in. He might be stuck in a bad place here. Jin and Fiora are still on the chase. Overall, a 1 for 2, still in favor of 2K2S here, and the gold lead is less than 1,000 gold for Boosted
Despite there
Friendship.
being a 2-tower difference. This
Yeah.
is everything. I'm gonna say it after every fight until it stops being true. This is going so well for 2K2S right now.
Yeah. This is exactly their win condition. They're playing out their team comps fantasy right now. I'm interested to see what SS Boosted Friendship what they're thinking right now. What's the comms like? What's the active game plan here? Because they have towers. They have 3 towers. They have a very good champion for taking towers with Jin. How do you facilitate the Jin into a lane and take towers for free without getting engaged on?
So from what I understand about this team, I believe Respect is the primary shot caller, and I wonder if he's getting a little flustered at the start of these fights, because this has been multiple fights in a row where it started with him getting chunked out.
Yeah. Yeah, he's playing very confidently. I'll say that. He's playing very confidently in the front
And
line.
most of the times it pays off for him. That was the first
Yeah.
fight he didn't make it out of, and he still almost did, but this could be bad for Respect.
Yeah, Respect
Gotcha
finds
not
a
going
Mundo
for
in the
chase.
brush.
Chase him down, man. You're Dr. Mundo. He's just a support. You
Oh.
can dive him.
He's waiting for the wave. I
don't actually think he could have killed him. I just
Yeah.
wanted to see it happen.
Hmm. Yeah, but Respect, I mean, that's the safe play. That's probably the smart play. Respect can't do anything to clear the wave there at the tower, and Scotch picks it up for free. Evelite came down in the bottom lane to try to answer the wave here. ZZ Rot Portal is still going in that brush, so Evelite and Respect, they know that it's there. You got to
Yeah.
clear it out, otherwise the wave's going to keep pushing.
Jesus.
Scott's taking out a ward very dangerously here. Dub jump, body slam and flashes in once again to start the fight, but Scott flashes out. Sadism is procced, but it doesn't matter. Thor's on the backside, and while this is happening, 2K2S, they're trying to trade the mid tower. And they do. It's a kill for a mid tower. At the end of the day, you always take the tower.
Absolutely. They have to put so much pressure on the Scotch. Maybe I'm mistaken about the point that this matchup is at, but On the Win never goes to match Scotchonaut.
Yeah.
And he needs to. He should be able to do all right in that 1v1 scenario. At least he should have, I think, 10 minutes ago till now.
Yeah. We're at that 3-item breakpoint for Mundo, and it gets super tough to kill him. He has Warmogs, and his ultimate's such a low cooldown. I mean, once he gets Thornmail, I don't think it's too late for On the Win then.
Yeah, it most
Respect
likely
is
will be.
taking
Oh!
out his tower. He's in the front lane. His team backs out on him.
Cooked! And
Oh my
doesn't
god.
even get it
Zimmer
all
all
off.
this pop.
Basically on the hunt.
Quinn is going so fast right now in the bird form, jumps onto On the Win. The
Oh,
snare
epic.
misses, but the re-engage, the body slam comes in. Thor's in the front line. They're trying to tank On the Win. Grand challenge.
Oh,
Popped on
the
the Frisky
snipe.
Oda-chan, and Evelite is in the back line. Curtain call. Trying to finish off this game here, and 2 kills for Boosted Friendship, trading the 1 of Respect. And now they have a mid lane push going.
Yeah, that was just such a nice outplay from SS Boosted Friendship on that team fight. And they might not be done. Zaku doesn't have an ult.
Yeah. Oh man, and Scotch, he still has sadism actually, but okay. I mean,
The
it's
one
only
thing
Frisky and
going on
Scotch here.
Gotcha, since there's basically no.
Oh, they're
Mandela
going in.
the
They're
tower
going
dive.
in to catch Frisky Ona-chan. Scotch has to use his ultimate and walk away, and that will be tier 2 mid tower for SS Boosted Friendship. And just like that, the game is turned once again. But it's still only a 1k gold lead.
Yeah, 1.5 the gold differential, mostly going to come from that extra tower that Boosted Friendship has.
Yeah, dragons are equal. Wow, this has got into a very exciting game.
Yeah, this sure has.
Yeah.
Action just everywhere you go.
Mm-hmm. It looks like Boosted Friendship, they took a little wander up into the top lane thinking they could meet the wave there, but I think that was overreaching a little bit. You got to recall, you got to cash in. You guys got a bunch of gold now. Scotch laid down the ZZ Route portal in the mid lane to try to keep that pushed. Dragon, wait, Epic on Derry just solos Dragon on the Jungle Quinn. So 2 dragons for SS Boosted Friendship, or for 2K2S actually, and this game would go a long time to get to the 5 dragon for 2K2S, but I mean, it's a possibility. It's good to have those on in the game. I forget, the second dragon
Is the
recently
tower
that was
damage.
changed to tower
Yes,
pushing one.
Yep, it's your auto attacks on a turret also add a damage over time effect. So it's very nice in a siege situation where you might only get one auto off.
Oh, Epic on Derry and Dub Jump, they do the duel in the jungle, but on the wind. It's not very honorable as a duelist to interrupt that, but he does. Killing spree for Dub Jump so far. And Epic on Derry, he was very confident. I mean, I think he would have won the 1v1, but did not factor in on the wind being there.
So I need to ask, can you use QSS on Nautilus's depth charge? I want to say no, but I'm not positive. Twitch
Well,
chat
no.
might have an idea.
The thing is that
Epic
you're right.
Yandere
It's not a
built
debuff.
QSS, and I'm not sure what he built that QSS for. Braum? Like that's too much. That's too much respect to give to a Braum.
Oh, on the wind.
No, Epic Yandere.
Yeah,
Oh,
no.
you mean,
He bought it
Grand
for
Challenge?
Grand Challenge.
But he's not the one that's split pushing.
I know, that's the thing. I don't agree with it either, but that's the only reasonable thing I can think of aside from Braum stuns. Yeah, because you have displacement ability from Gragas, and I guess Nautilus does have, a snare built in. It seems like a very odd item. Maybe that's common for Jungle Quinn, just because you want to be doing damage, and when you're stunned, you can't do damage.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Fuck if I know, but I don't like it.
I don't know. Salvo says in Twitch chat that he thinks it's also for the Fiora Grand Challenge, but Epic Yandere thinks he's going to become so big, he's going to be the split push answer on the wind. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know if I
you're
agree with
a
that.
1-4-5 jungle. You're probably not going to become the split push threat.
No, I agree. Thrifty. Wow, is he gonna get this blue buff?
Oh yeah, he's
yeah.
set by. He knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah, dude. I shouldn't have. Yeah, why did I even doubt Thrifty on the Zyra? Just recalls, casually gets a blue buff on the teleport back to the base here. But the game has slowed down considerably. Aside, like the last 10-15 minutes have been really action packed here. It's still only a 1.5k gold lead for Boosted Friendship. 11 kills to 0, or 11 kills to 6. What do you think's next for these teams? I mean, Baron is now becoming an objective. It looks like Boosted Friendship are on top of that. They're warding it up.
I really don't
Pink
like
ward's
that
down.
Zaku just showed in the bot lane. You're a support. There's never a situation where the support just showed in the bot lane this deep, this late into the game. And this is going to turn into a Baron fight that Zaku's going to be very late to. Fortunately for 2K2S, this is going down pretty slowly, and I think Zyra might be enough to deter this.
Yeah, they actually have a really bad neutral objective.
And this could be a
team
team
comp.
fight. Just kidding.
Oh, still. Nope, yeah. It's definitely disengaged. But yeah, to go off of that Baron was really slow for good reason. Their champions are not made for burning down Baron, and Scotch, he just walks away with the W burning. Doesn't have to use ultimate. Yeah, he is very tanky at this point. He's got the Spectre Scowl. He's going into Spirit Visage, which really just really puts the icing on the cake for
Yeah,
Mundo.
it's fairly rare that you see a Mundo get to the Spirit Visage this late in the game, but there's so little magic damage coming out of the comp on SS Boosted Friendship that he's had to put it off.
Ooh.
Once he gets that item, he is going to be Mundo.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, not a lot of magic damage actually coming out for SS Boosted Friendship, so easy itemization for Scotch there. No one else on his team has really put the thought into building armor. Legion, probably obviously a bad buy, but we got a Frozen Heart started for Zaku, so I think that's good, obviously, for On the Wind. It probably slows Evolite down really low, right? Reducing attack speed of Jhin.
Yeah, I don't want to be that Jhin.
Well, wait, that's not how does that work? I don't know. I don't know, because attack speed for him doesn't mean attack speed, right?
All right.
I don't know. Bramalt, Glacial Fissure goes out to try to just deter 2K2S on the mid
strange
tower.
Situation here, and On the Wind actually gives up on his split push. No, he's gonna opt to stay. This could turn into a big objective trade here. I want to see On the Wind not back off all the way.
2K2S, they're wandering through the jungle here. They're kind of in a choke point right now.
Gotcha,
Scotch
split.
is on the front line, I think, trying to make the call to fight, and he's got Dub Jump and Respect in his eyes here. Thor's on the backside. He actually sees the hook onto Thrifty Senpai. Death Charge goes out, but he's the only one, and now he's being focused. He will be taken down at the start of the fight. Scotch is still alive in the backline, and double kill for Epic Yandere. On the Wind, where he...
Boosted Friendship needed to wait 2 or 3 more seconds to pick that fight, and they would have had On the Wind in a perfect flank position, and he would have destroyed Thrifty Senpai. But that was not communicated, and they lost that team fight hard because of it. It's 2 kills on their tanks, and now 2K2S can dive these towers if they want to.
Yeah, big ultimates for their tanks so are down, but I don't think it matters at this point. Scotch is like a behemoth.
On the Hunt and Wild Growth are still up, and I think those are the 2 most important ults.
Yeah.
And they're going to at least get 1 tower out of it, which mid-tier 2 is pretty big at this point in the game. A lot of Baron plays revolve around that creep vision you get in the mid lane.
Yeah. So 2 kills going over 2K2S, and that was transitioned into... okay, actually, it only looks like 1 tower they're going to get from that, but tier 2 mid tower, yeah, like you said, that is really good.
And a third dragon. Boof's
and a dragon.
awesome at this point in the game as well, but they have to watch out because they're going to be very late. This is such a classic play where you think, oh, hey guys, they just spawned, but we can still take stuff before we base. And a veteran team with a lot of synergy, they say, hey, these guys haven't based yet, let's go to Baron. So if they want to fight us, they're low health. And, oh man!
On the Wind flashes over the wall and he catches out Thrifty Senpai. They had the vision, or I don't know how they had the vision, but he sees it, maybe a blue trinket, and Thrifty goes down to start off this fight. It looks like 2KS, they still want to keep fighting here. Scott is in the back line. He's doing the damage to Evolite, but the peel comes out from Gragas and Nautilus, and Scott will be taken down. Evolite getting the kill. On the Wind recalls, comes back with the teleport. 5 men strong for Boosted Friendship.
So we're going to see if Boosted Friendship opt to run back to that Baron, which I think that they should. They need to play this somewhat smart, but Thrifty's not there to put out the AoE damage, so they should have a good chance. And no, they're actually not opting to take this Baron Nashor, even though it's just the Sivir and Quinn damage. They don't want to go into a 50-50 smite situation, and they don't know if Epic Yandere is close. So ultimately, I'm going to say that's a big win for 2K2S, because if they had opted to just finish Baron instead of fighting Thrifty Senpai, I think that would have been free, or an even bigger team fight win. But they sold out really hard to get that pick onto Thrifty, which is something we see in SBL games. This happens when you're up against Thrifty or a Master Splitter.
Yeah, you commit everything and then maybe not think about what's the play after that. Yeah, interesting enough, yeah, they like you said, they didn't want to leave the Baron up for grabs, but 2K2S, they made the call. They were not even there to try to contest it. Like that would have been a free Baron. But also what I think is a good choice, they opt to go back, recall, buy, and then they push out their own waves to maybe set up for a Baron now. Maybe a better Baron fight if they're able to bait it.
So for the first time in a while, 2K2S does have the absolute TP advantage. So Scotch not doing the right thing. He's going... Actually, no, he's only going to go put down the ZZ Route portal. But that's still going to be enough to create pressure that can't be matched for another minute. And that'll be by Thor Odin's Son, not On the Winds.
Yep. Which is, I don't
like
think
to see
the guy you
Scotch
actually
not stay
want.
in that bot lane.
I don't think, yeah, you don't want him split pushing. You need him in the engage position.
So while we have a second here between these fights, I want to talk about Thor again. because I feel like he's played these team fights really well, but I have not liked his build in this game. I know what he's going for, but at what point in this game have you thought to yourself, wow, that Banner of Command and ZZ Rod is creating a lot of pressure? I've noticed Scotch not creating a lot of pressure with his ZZ Rod. I have not noticed that out of Thor.
Yeah,
And I can't help but think if he had more team fight stats built, we might have just seen some of these close fights turn into big wins for the boosted friendship.
Yeah, and to correct me if I'm wrong, will Sunfire the third item?
I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Especially because he's never been split pushing. Sunfire is very good right now, but we see a fight coming. And
flashes and starts off the fight with a Gragas or a Braum ult, and Gragas ult actually puts Thrifty into the thick of things, and he goes down. But he gets the return kill onto Evelite, and the fight goes off. Frisky Onochan, he's in the back line. He's dealing the damage on Sivir. Epic Yandere picking up the kill on the win, and that's 3 dead for boosted friendship.
How the hell did 2K2S win that? And they're going to keep going. They get respect under the tower. They're going to get an inhibitor tower. They had 35 seconds until anyone spawns. It's Dumb Drum versus the world, and I don't even think Zhao Wei Zhao can hold the base here.
No, this looks like game.
This is game over. Push the... Oh my god, you fucking idiots! Take the Nexus! Okay, they're gonna disagree with me. That's fine. They have a right to do that, but that's wrong.
This is so wrong. Epic Yandere starts off the Baron and takes damage. Frisky he's not taking damage.
Your shot caller's dead. All he has to do is watch and tell you guys, hey, end. I have no idea what they were thinking to not end this game, and when they lose this one, they're gonna feel awful about it. That was one of the worst SBL decision-making I've ever seen. And Thor Odinsson's actually coming in on teleport here. Gonna look to see if he can snipe anybody. He's home guarding after Frisky Onochan and forces a nice flash there.
Yeah. Wow. I mean,
Jesus.
Maybe some good positioning out of Frisky Onochan because he hadn't burned the flash in that last team fight, so luckily he had it there. Otherwise, that would have been a dead Sivir for at least 50 seconds. But,
so let's
the worst decision in SBL history, I don't know about that. It is very bad, and obviously it might cost them the game. But they did get a Baron out of it, and they are still in the driver's seat of this game.
But that was one of the most obvious ending. These guys must only watch the NALCS because they clearly don't know what closing a game looks like.
that is so true.
Let's reevaluate while we're at before something breaks out here. I can't believe that 2K2S won that fight so convincingly when Epic Yandere, he wasn't even there until 7 or 8 seconds into that fight after Thrifty had been killed or completely killed. That was just a straight 5v4 without one of the 80 carries. And 2K2S won that convincingly.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's really just this beefy front line that's really coming through. Like, Scotch is aggroing. He's taking so much threat away from his backline, from his big damage dealers. And like you said, they have a lot of damage dealers. They have 3 damage threats, like huge damage threats in the late game right now. And they're just not dying. 2K2S is just not getting to them. Luckily, the Gragas ult, though, last fight was very good on Thrifty, taking him out early.
All right, so one thing to keep note of here, guys. First of all, that beautiful, beautiful, massive cannon minion coming in behind Scotch and not.
Yeah.
But Scotch currently does have a teleport to teamfight, and Thor Odinson does not. And this is a really good pressure situation to have going with Baron for 2K2S.
Yeah, the 2 easy tier 2 towers that you just can't defend at this point in the game, 41 minutes in, if you are SS Boosted Friendship. And that looks like an inhib tower as well.
They're opting to defend basically nothing. They have to teamfight somewhere.
On the win, he grand challenges Mundo, but I think you're just going to lose that one, bud. I don't think you can really fight the Mundo at this point.
He actually had an alright fight there, other than the fact that they gave up the opposing...
Oh
my god, and now on the win goes down. Epic Yandere, he's flashing at him. This is it. This is the closeout. Baron creeps. Carrie's dying. An easy win for 2K2S, even if they wanted to take the scenic route to get there.
Wow. And what was a good game in the early game for SS Boosted Friendship turns into a 42-minute victory for 2K2S. 3-1 on the season now, and
they've looked just so good with Scotch. I am so blown away by Scotch not that game. It would have been so easy for him to panic and start grouping with his team earlier, but he kept calm. he got to the major fights, but he also found ways to just keep getting his farm, and he got so big, and his team fighting was just perfect that game. And it was awesome to see him team fight so well on a champion that's not so much about a big ult like, say, the Malphite is, but as someone who just positions in the right place to soak everything. Because his carries were able to get out so much damage in that fight, and I think he played so much better than the 2, 2, and 6 stat line tells you.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think he played
I would actually
Tank
go
Mundo as best he can. Yeah.
I would go as far to say that's about as hard as you can carry as Dr. Mundo. I think Scotch dragged his team kicking and screaming to the finish line there.
Yeah.
And that's really impressive when you have Thrifty Senpai playing Zyra on your team.
Yeah, and I mean the 226 scoreline is maybe not super impressive, but look at his farm at 41 minutes, 380 CS. He did exactly that. He just farmed lanes constantly, became this super hard tank, and I think it resulted in a win for 2K2S here. So I assume we want to talk to Scotchnaut here.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to Scotchnaut, and then I'd also like to talk to maybe Frisky Oni-chan a bit.
Okay.
Because I don't think we've heard from him. He is a rookie, and he's also switching positions, so I just messaged Scotch. It should be Keizo Kami, I assume.
User was moved to your channel.
Yeah, just
Error.
Keiz.
User was moved to
All
your
right, so we
channel.
got Scotchnaut and Frisky Oni-chan pulled into this channel. All right, I'm just gonna start here. At one point in this game, guys, you killed everyone on their team but Dub Drum. You took their inhibitor. You had 30 seconds to go, and you opted not to take the Nexus. What the hell were you thinking?
I guess we were used to getting our butts paddled, so we were just like, we won the fight, let's get the inhib and then the Baron, and then we have so much more pressure, we can just close it out afterwards. We pushed out, basically.
Essentially,
All right, well,
Nobody pressed tab and actually looked at the death timers.
You know you don't have to press tab for that anymore, right?
Well, we're bad.
That's fine. That's actually the best answer, because anything but we're bad, and I would have kind of had to disagree with you. You're going to watch the VOD and really be blown away that you didn't close that one out. But fortunately for you guys, it didn't matter.
Yeah. Worked out.
luckily.
So, Frisky, I want to talk to you for a sec here. You're obviously, this is your first split in the SBL, and not only that, you're playing AD carry, which I don't think was one of your main roles. I'm correct about that, right?
No, it's probably my worst role. But I'm trying.
What's that transition been like? I mean, I assume that's been not even the entire season. I imagine just the last week or two that you've been seriously practicing it.
Yeah, basically for the past 3 weeks I've been practicing ADC, and it's hard when you main jungle because you suck at last hitting. So now you have to last hit all the time. It's not fun.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were not in a good
working, I
position in
guess.
that lane. Evolite was pretty big, pretty early. Obviously, him and Respect, probably one of the most respected bot lanes in the whole league. And you guys just kind of casually came back and out team fought them.
Yeah.
I'll give you a secret about AD carry. It is the best AD carry to ever be in this channel.
Please, I need all the secrets I can get. Please.
Just out team fight them, and nothing else you do matters.
Yeah.
Dude, that's what I've been told. As long as you show up for the team fights and you do well, things should go smoothly.
So, what are the comms like in the team fights for you guys? Is there a lot of talking, or is it?
I'm panicking!
Yeah, basically.
Because
It's
you guys just
usually
I think it's Zaku says like 2-3 things. We tell Parker to scream, otherwise he doesn't say anything. So we're like, if you get somebody on you, you need to scream so we know that to frickin' peel for you. Otherwise it's me, Thrifty, and Toby trying to shout over each other about who to focus.
Well, it's really funny that that's how it goes, because your team fights look so crisp.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
nice because Epic Yandere is a rookie, but I've been playing with him for 6 years now, or 5 years, or whenever this game first came out, whatever.
Oh. Some
So-
synergy I had no idea existed.
Oh yeah, that's why during the draft I was like, whoever gets me needs to get Epic too, because then we don't even have to work on synergy because it's already there.
Did this draft, to go back even before you got into the Rift, did this draft, did Boosted Friendship, did they lose this on Champ Select?
You know, it's funny because they banned me out, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a bad time with Wind because they banned the 2 champions that pretty much counter his entire pool. But then they locked in Jin early, and I was thinking about what I wanted to play, and I was like, I could play Mundo, but it's not going to be that great against their team or whatever Wind picks. I'm just going to kind of get my butt paddled. And I was like, wait a second, they picked Jin, which Jin's a very good carry, but a tank destroyer he is not. So I was like, I can just play Mundo, and he's never going to be able to kill me. And if they do manage to kill me, they're gonna have to have thrown the entire sink at me, and my team's gonna win the fight.
Okay. I guess to go off of that, you guys got Sivir as well. Frisky, is that? I mean, because Sivir is just so strong and one of those sort of easier carries to play. Were you happy about that pick as well?
Yeah, actually, she's been like one of my favorite champions to play for ADC. Like, I used to play a lot of Ashe and old Graves, but then Graves got changed, so like my love for him dwindled. But yeah, Sivir's been a lot of fun lately for me.
All right, I guess one last question going back to you, Scotch. You guys are now 3-0 with you in the lineup. Are you guys the best team in the SBL?
I mean, I told you, what was it, week 2? I just came back and fixed everything, right?
You can't argue with that. Nothing has changed, folks.
I fixed it.
2K2S are the best until proven otherwise. So, congratulations, guys. That was a very exciting game to watch.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
thank you.
exciting to play.
It was actually, I think, one of my favorites this season so far to cast.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to take a quick break here before we get into game 2, which will be on what side, but Boy Butter and the Baddie Bargain Bin going at it. So,
B.
don't touch that browser, folks.